Hello YouTube! Welcome to my channel. Here I am once again, uh, reviewing our 9th Age Homebrew campaign. We're up to turn 4. Now before you continue with this video, if you have not watched the 9th Age Homebrew campaign overview, you should definitely watch that first. It sets out an overview of all the roles that are in this campaign, just a broad scopes, and who the different people are. This specific video, we're just going to go through the random events, the random events, then the turn orders for each faction, and then we're going to take a look at the map. And then actually, we're going to take a look at Finky the Wise's um, banner list. I mentioned it in the last last video, and so we're going to take a look at that and see uh, if anyone was able to guess correctly what is in it. So. We're just going to jump into this. I don't want to dilly-dally. And so here we are. So we got random events. This happened in November, so right before Thanksgiving here in the USA. So the first faction, first confederation, is the Dark Forest of Death. They've got beast herds. Nothing happened in random events. Good for them. Beast herds, again, their second faction. Scouts have found an ancient burial mound. North 73 becomes a site of ancient ruins. So Ancient Ruins actually appeared in the previous random events for one of the dwarf factions, but we don't really know what that does yet. It's just there. I think the individual players do that, but I forget what it is. I haven't been informed by the campaign manager what that actually does. But it is good for that faction. The Ancient Ruins are good for the person that controls them. It's a special map location. We're going on to Dread Elves Cult of Pleasure. They take advantage of fair weather in the south map, and their HQ adds 455 points plus 227 points to one banner. So that's good for them. Just armies are growing larger here. This is turn 4, so we're growing larger. It's basically the motto of turns 1 through 3 so far. Vampire Covenant. Poor leadership within the ranks this turn. All banners lose, don't pass, and the night rules this turn. Also, fair weather, add 151 points to one banner. Now, this is something that I'm not sure that we've seen before, so I'm going to break this down. So this is a rule. It's called all banners lose. This is the rule. Don't pass in the night rules. So, this rule is all about, let's say, you have an army, it's in a space, and then right next to that space is an enemy army. Let's say on the next turn, you move your army into the space where the enemy one is, but the enemy army moves his army to where you previously were. So you literally are passing each other. Well, realistically, the way the campaign manager he thought of this rule, actually this might have even been in the older rules that we adopted, but basically it's not realistic that two armies are just going to pass each other. There's a chance that they're going to fight a battle. And so you can't just move past each other like that. Realistically, you probably would clash. And so, but there's a special die roll that's made then to see if the armies fight or if they do actually pass each other, called Don't Pass in the Night rules. So his banner loses Don't Pass in the Night rules this turn. That favors the other person's rule. So that probably means if the other person wants to pass, they probably can. If they don't want to pass and fight the battle, they probably can force that battle. So either way, it's bad for the Vampire Covenant if that situation were to happen this turn. Again, random events like this, they only apply for that specific turn. The next turn, basically think of it as the slate is wiped clean and they can perform as normal again. Most of the random events are like that. So it just makes it a little more random from turn to turn. It's not, it doesn't last for the whole campaign. All right, let's move on to Lord Itzalak's Alliance of Desperation. He's got the Knights of Aquitaine. Allies from the Confederation show strong support in reports of the massive armies raiding the northern mountains and forests of the Khazrak Beastlord faction. Add 650 points of another faction from the Confederation to one banner. So this is really interesting. If you remember what I've been doing with some of my army lists personally, is within your own faction, when you make a list, or when you're able to add points to a list, though by then it's too late, So basically, it's when you make a list, you're allowed to actually have multiple factions within the same banner. And I really like doing this, and it's something really unique to this campaign you're not going to find in regular ninth age play. This random event that happens adds 650 points of another faction from the Confederation to one banner. So he's allowed to do this, but I don't think it has to be a legal army. So it's not like he's got two separate armies in one banner. He basically has one army in that banner, but now he's able to add 650 points. So that's basically he could add like one unit. So this is a Kingdom of Aquitaine army. The guy who plays this also plays Saurian Ancients. He plays Orcs and Goblins. He plays Warriors of the Dark Gods, and he just started playing Inferno Dwarves, though at the time that this came into play, I'm not sure if he really had any, but theoretically, he could have added them to his banner too. So I actually want to hear your thoughts, because I haven't really thought about this at all, personally, because I haven't gotten this random event. So if, let's say you have an army banner, and let's say you specifically, you have the Kingdom of Ecdrain banner, and he plays pretty strictly knights when he plays Kingdom of Aquitaine. I know most Kingdom of Aquitaine people play that way. He does too. He does have bowmen. He does have peasants. He's tried peasants, but he doesn't really like them. He pretty much just sticks with knights. So if you have an all-knight Kingdom of Aquitaine list, but you get to add 650 points from another faction from the ones that I listed, what would you add? So again, that's going to be Saurian Ancients. That's going to be Warriors of the Dark Gods. That's going to be Inferno Dwarves, and that's going to be Orcs and Goblins. Um, that's really interesting. Trying to think you know, what Kingdom of Aquitaine struggles with and what they would want to add to supplement that. Because he has some flexibility there. I mean, you could take a ton of skinks from Saurian Ancients. You could take a big horde of warriors from Warriors of the Dark Gods. Just push those forwards to pressure you. Um, I'm not exactly sure what I would do because I haven't seen his actual list, but based on the way I know he plays his lists, um, I know he also has a ton of cav for Warriors of the Dark Gods. He has a lot of barbarian horsemen for Warriors of the Dark Gods, but I wouldn't add more horsemen. I think really what his list probably would need to function better are some monsters and things, especially shooting. He doesn't have shooting, so actually, what I would do is I'd probably take some. I don't know what they're called now, like salamanders or some of the shooting monsters from Saurian Ancients. Just add them in. They have good movement. They can then shoot stuff. So you can't just sit back, because with Kingdom of Aquitaine, often what I'll do if I'm playing against him, I'll sit back and I'll try to be a little bit more tactical to make sure he isn't able to charge me, and then I just shoot him with what I have, and he can't shoot back. But if he takes some Saurian Ancients shooting lizards, that'd be the way to go. So that's my pick. But I'm curious to hear what your picks are. Leave those in the YouTube chat below as well as a comment. I'm really curious to see what you come up with. Okay, let's move on to Orcs and Goblins. A Goblin Scout finds an ancient power stone in Area 5. It cannot be moved, and all the armies of the controlling player generate one extra Veil token each in their magic phase. So this is actually kind of borderline. It's not really game breaking because it's just one Veil token, but it's kind of powerful. You control that, then it says all armies of the controlling player. So that means no matter where else your faction or confederation armies are on the map, they're going to get to add one extra Veil token because they have this power stone. So that's really cool. And that's just something random that happened too. I don't think that was intentionally placed on the map ahead of time. And then, of course, they have fair weather, so they add more points to their banner, too. Alright. Saurian Ancients, good hunting, add 455 points to one banner. Bigger Saurian Ancients lists. Of course, that's what everyone needed. Okay, Warriors of the Dark Gods. Traders from very far away are encountered. The player chooses which two units are affected by this. They do not have to be in the same banner. Okay, so we've seen this before. When this happens, the unit may not add models to the unit any longer, and the unit does not change in point cost. So there's actually some different weapons in here. So I'm going to read through these because these are different than what we've seen before. It's similar, but it's different. So you get Aspen Bow, which I believe are the Undying Dynasty bows. So they're always going to hit on 4 plus regardless. Flintlock Axe, those are Infernal Dwarves weapons. I don't remember what they do. I think it's some sort of throwing weapons with +1 strength, maybe. Or maybe longer range. Great Aspen Bow, if large or gigantic, so that's cool. So this is for Words of Dark God. So he could give these things to like his oh man. He's got he's got some of those big troll lizard monsters. He could give them bows. He can give handguns to his barbarians. He could give recurve bows to his cav. He could give bastard swords to infantry. That's interesting. Give those to the warriors with the Hellforged shields. That'd be nasty. That'd be really nasty. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. All right, fair weather and add more points to the banner. That's really nasty. Okay. I don't know what he did. So we'll find out later in the campaign, hopefully. All right, Dwarven Holds. This is mine. Soon as Quintum Verit. One banner may add 650 points as a gold load was found. Cha-ching! I think I actually put that into Finky's list, but I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that's Finky and not my other banner. Emperor of Sunstone, fair weather in the south. I get to add more points to my HQ and 227 points to one banner. It's good. Sylvan Elves, Great Elk Hunt adds 715 points to one banner. Also fair weather at 151. So this is really good. As far as I know, as far as I remember, I added all these to my my main banner. So my main banner just gained almost 1,000 points in one turn, just under 900 points actually. So that was really cool. Undying Dynasty Khemri. Oh yeah. So this was a big bummer. Hungry Wolves steal some of your skeleton warriors. Lose 510 points from one banner. So my main banner, which was marching south, it got it got a lot. It lost a lot. So sometimes these random events, they hurt. Sometimes they're negative things. All right, then we're going to the Confederation that must not be named. And there's actually a result from this, but we'll cover that later. There is something that happened as a result of losing these points. All right, Dwarven holds old grudges. Any faction that betrays an alliance with this faction via raising, withdrawing support, or invasion this turn scores a bonus of 5 victory points. Interesting. Any faction that betrays an alliance with this faction. So if you betray the dwarves, you get victory points for this turn? That sounds weird. It seems like should be the opposite. If you betray them, then the Dwarven holds get victory points for grudges, but maybe not. Alright. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that too. That seems interesting. I don't think it came into play at all because nobody, as far as I know, was allied with Dwarven holds at this point. So this is I think I've talked about this before, which you can actually do. So there's 5 of us playing. Each of us has a confederation, and each confederation has 4 or more armies in it. Um, but our individual factions within each confederation are allowed to ally with factions from other confederations that we're not playing ourselves. So that's where this would come into play. If, for instance, if his dwarves were allied with my dwarves, for example, different confederations, but it's technically a different faction, I could ally with him because right now my dwarves are not necessarily working with his dwarves. I could fight against him if I wanted to. All right. Then he's got another dwarven holds. So this is the one we have seen before. The player chooses which 2 units are affected by this. They do not have to be in the same banner. When this happens, a unit may not add models to the unit any longer. The unit does not change in point cost and may either take a bow, crossbow, throwing weapon, spear, paired weapons, lance, halberd, or great weapon. Now most of these weapons are actually available to the dwarves already, so this isn't that unique. But for instance, you're not allowed to take throwing weapons on Deep Watch. Personally, that is something I would like to take, throwing weapons on Deep Watch. Or taking, I don't know if taking spears with Deep Watch would be worth it, because then they wouldn't get parry, and they really want to use parry. I'm not sure what would be worth it, personally. From here, doesn't seem that great for dwarfs, actually. Unless you had hold guardians. I would give like halberds to hold guardians or great weapons. Probably halberds, halberds to hold guardians or paired weapons to hold guardians. That's what I would do actually. I think that would be interesting, kind of fun. Also, I really want to give graybeards paired weapons, and I'm sad that you can't do that in the army book. So either halberds or paired weapons to graybeards would be my pick. Alright, Dwarven holds. Bad omens. All banners have a -1 in difficult terrain tests. If no test is needed, the banner is immune to this result. So, again, just something that could affect a difficult terrain test. Now, for dwarves, they can move in mountains without difficult terrain tests. So, this is only if he wants to cross a river and there's no bridge there. That's where that's going to come into play. Highborn elves, bad omens. A retreat result. This is also bad omens. But it's slightly different. A retreat result in battle is treated automatically as scattered this turn. So this is what happens in our campaign when two armies fight a battle. Whoever wins claims the space. Whoever loses retreats to a space that an adjacent space that faction holds. But if you lose by a lot, you can become scattered. So if you lose the battle by a lot, like a 17-3 or whatever, you would become scattered, and then scattered means you have to return all the way back to your headquarters. That banner goes back to the headquarters, and then you have to continue. You can continue moving it from the headquarters again on the following turn, I believe. With this bad omens, that means that any loss that's going to force you to retreat is treated automatically as scattered. So that's really bad. So I would not want to fight a battle at all if I had Highborn Elves, and I would try really hard not to for this turn, for turn 4. I don't think he was really in a position to fight a battle, so it didn't affect him, but this might come up later, as we're playing 25 turns in this campaign, so interesting. Alright, then we have the last confederation, the Hungry Dead. Ogre Khans, native goblins that live nearby, raise North 7. So one of their territories got raised by goblins. That's not fun. That's not fun. Ogre Khans, again, an overlooked village provides extra militia. This is fun. Add 400 core points to one banner. Also, fair weather, add 151 points to one banner. So he gets to add extra points to his banner, but they have to be in core. So that is fun. Undying Dynasties. These are the ones down by my Sylvanos. Confusing orders. Randomize which banners get which orders. Also fair weather, add 151 points to one banner. Okay. So I didn't realize this was random. They randomly moved. I think he had 2 banners, and each of them randomly moved. And then Undying Dynasties, Ground Fog on the north map, all battles and border skirmishes taking place in that part of the map the next turn have the following rules. So this is if we fight a battle in turn 4. There's special rules because there's fog in the north. So you've seen so far that there's been fair weather or good weather, and that's been giving us extra points. Well, if there's fog weather, it's going to affect battles. So this is what they do. Banners providing support only provide 1/2 the usual number of points the next turn for all players. So that could be key, as I generally have followed a strategy of support where I have my second banner kind of follow closely to my first banner so they can support it in case there's a battle. Add +2 to all ranges for allied banners wishing to join a grand battle this turn. That means that it's a lot harder for allied banners to participate in a grand battle. And all units gain sight limit 12 for the first game turn. So that really sucks if you have shooting units and you drop to go first. For the first turn, you can't. You only have sight limit 12. And then it says, before the beginning of each player turn, roll a d6. On a 6, the fog dissipates and the sight limit returns to normal. So it sounds like theoretically you could fight the whole battle and there's going to be fog there and you only have sight limit 12. So if you have a shooty army, this is really bad. You don't want to fight in fog. This is also pretty realistic. So what do you guys think about it? Is 12 inches too harsh? Is it still too far? I haven't fought in real battles. I was never in the military, so I don't know the consequences. Maybe some of you have studied ancient warfare more than me. I am an ancient historian, but I haven't really studied battles. That's not my area of expertise. I know that fog often made people able to like outflank and come around them a lot easier because they didn't know they were there. They've also got units get lost sometimes in fog though. So I'm curious to see what you guys think of this. If there's any other rules you would want to throw in there or if this is too harsh, let me know. All right, let's move on to turn orders. What did everyone do after reading these random events? How did they move their people? That's what turn orders are. So we've got Beast Herds, Kargar's Rampage marches south from North 40 to North 53 on the Old Silk Road, so they're just marching down the road. His second banner, which he still did not name, marches south into the mountains. He was successful. He had to make a check, difficult terrain check, from North 5 to North 14. So he's still in the mountains. All right. His other Beast Herds faction, Vargar's Destruction, marches from North 86 to North 85, successful into the Blood River Bogs. I think he had to make a check because he was difficult terrain check to move into a river space, but he was successful. So the Beast Herds are successful in their difficult terrain checks. Good for them. Elf Killers Marauders. His second banner marches from North 66 to North 65, so they're just marching along. All right. Then the Dread Elves Code of Pleasure, Helmar's Vanguard, marches from South 34 to South 38. And Villains Rush, excuse me, holds but does not find any volunteers for its army. They rolled a 1. So, uh, Villains Rush, I believe, held at the headquarters, and they rolled a 1, so they didn't get any new troops. Either that, or we'll check the map. We'll check the map because I thought he might be in the castle. I think that he's in the castle. We'll take a look at that. I'll have to remember that. Okay. Vampire Covenant. Von Fobemir marches north. Alright. I think he's already on the road. Malafor attempts to march from South 71 to South 52 in the mountains, but it fails to find a safe passage, so you hold instead, and the banner increases by 250 points. So the Beast Herds successfully made their dangerous terrain checks, but Malafor failed, and so his second banner stayed into his headquarters. Good thing he was in his headquarters, and he was able to add more points to that, so that was fine. All right, then we go into Kingdom of Aquitaine from Lord Itzalak. Sir Ghislaine's expeditionary force marches North 52 to North 57, continuing further down the south road. So he's going south down the road. Sir Theri de Luce's Lost Quest marches from North 3 to North 4. Then we've got his Orcs and Goblins. Karg's Plunderers gains 350 points while camping at the Sacred Lake, and one character gains a blessing. We saw this last turn as well. His first banner did several forced marches to get to the Sacred Lake very quickly, and now he's just holding there and gaining a lot of extra points and a lot of blessings. Again, it's an army that's very quickly becoming something I do not want to fight at all. Krugerim Stalker's force marches successful from South 84 to South 83 to South 75, so he is actually able to move 2 spaces. So take a look on the map to see how far Krugerim Stalkers moved. Then we gotta go to Saurian Ancients. Lord Zuha in the first spawning raises North 53 and marches and seizes Malco. So this is very interesting. So I don't know if we've really seen this before, but when you yourself issue a raise order, you get to add, I think it's either 300 or 400 points to that banner's list. So he raised the road outside of Malco, and then he moved into Malco. And you have to make a rule if you want to move after you raise. So now this prevents people from seizing territory outside of Malco. It's going to do them no good. And then he's got a larger banner that's inside Malco, which is a significant special location that gives you victory points every time you hold it. And he also is going to be able to grow that banner a lot larger while it's in Malco. You get more points when you hold there than if he had stayed in his headquarters. Alright, he's got a second banner now, Lord Oxothol, and the second spawning marches from North 46 to North 45. So they're just going to grab up more land as well. Then we go on to the warriors. Ragora, Ravager of Men, raises South 79 and marches from South 79 to South 89. So he did the same thing. He raised and moved. And then Ulf's Foragers marches from South 98 to South 96. Okay. Then we go to my factions. Thori Wallbreakers, Regiment of the Hold from Dwarven Holds. They march from North 128 to South 9. Talk more about this on the map when we look at it. And then we got Finky, the Wisest Mining Corps, marches from North 127 to North 123. So I'm just moving out. Sister Livian's Defenders of Twos attempts to recover South 64 and fails. So we saw this last time. I don't know. I moved into that Orcs and Goblins space that had the witch's hut that cursed him, and so I took over the territory, and now I'm trying to recover it. But you only recover a territory in a rule of 3 or higher, or maybe it's 4. Maybe it might start at 4. It starts at 3 or 4 or higher, and I rolled a 2, so I failed. And then I have my second banner for them. Brother Flavadorius' Smiters of Evil marches from South 73 to South 63. Then we get to Selvanels. Luche's Forest Band marches from South 75 to South 85, attempting to seize the Grail Chapel, but then face Pharaoh Tessamen's 1st Division in battle. So we actually have our very first battle on the campaign map. It happened at the Grail Chapel. Now this is very interesting because if you remember, I believe this is the Undyne Dynasty faction that had a random order. So he randomly moved where I moved. But anyway, so we have a battle at the Grail Chapel. I do have a few pictures from this, not a lot, but I'm gonna make a separate video to cover this as a battle report. It'll be fairly brief because I only have like 4 or 5 pictures, I think. I don't have all the individual moves, and it happened a while ago. I think this happened back in either November or early December. I'll try to remember what I can. Spoiler alert. Pharaoh Tissamen was heavily outnumbered and massacred, but we'll go through how that happened. And then my second banner, Prince Reyes Hunters, marches from South 91 to South 90. Alright. Then I got my Undyne Dynasty. Amat Amuna's Cursed Legion marches from North 50 to North 51. This is the one that lost troops due to wolves. And Tefet's Guardians of Light marches from North 36 to North 48. I do have reasons for why I name all my banners. So if you can understand my logic behind the banners, you actually will have a general idea of what's in that banner list. Broad scopes, of course. So it's just something I like to do. I'm very fluffy. It's kind of hamstringing my ability to become an actual good competitive player, but this is where I am right now. And that's why I like this. I like 9th Age. Alright, Dwarven Holds. Banner 1 marches along the southern banks of the central Grismery River. Banner 2 marches into the mountains Second banner marches. Third banner marches south along the Thunder River. And banner 1 marches from North 30 to North 79. This is the banner that he really didn't want to fight in a battle, but I don't think he was really near anyone, so he was able to march and not worry about it. Because if he lost a battle, he would then be scattered. Alright. And our last faction, the Hungry Dead. Gozug's Flesh Devourers marches south and seizes the only remaining bridge over the Thunder River. So you can see he was racing for a river, and the Dwarven Holds were also marching along that river. Bikers Iron Poopers marches south to the hills. Those ogres. Can't trust them. I don't know what kind of general he's got. He named his army the Iron Poopers. I guess Biker is the general, so don't trust Biker at all. Then we've got these another Ogre Khans, Elbzug's Elf Eaters. Remember, these are near that elf faction. They march east. Darub's Dwarf Devourers. They must be kind of near dwarves. They march east as well. And then Gold Dynasty. So this is on the flip side. Pharaoh Tessamen's 1st Division gets orders for Prince Sekhmet and marches northwest, attempting to seize the Grail Chapel before the Sylvan Elves do, meeting Luhe's Forest Band in battle. and Prince Sakumet, 2nd Division, gets the orders for Pharaoh Tessamen and marches west. So they had confused orders. So that battle wasn't even going to happen. They just had random orders that made it happen. So that's the fun of random events. That wasn't even planned. But now we have a battle. Alright. Undying Dynasties, the Jif's banner of Jackals and Death marches south into the Black Fens, successful. And Indera's Asps marches west from north 94 to north 93. Alright. That covers the turn orders, the random events and turn orders for turn 4. Let's now take a look at the map. What does this all look like on the map? I always start in the north, so let's take a look here. I'm actually surprised. Maybe they didn't mention it. I don't remember if it happened. I'm gonna scroll real quick. I thought it happened. Um, let's look. Okay, it was announced. So what happened was, I'll just talk about it now on the map. So what happened was my banner 1 lost points due to wolves. Beast herds are coming down out of the mountains, and they're getting kind of scary. They've got some scary numbers because they've been raising, and they've had some very fortunate random events. So this banner especially is very large, and I think the second banner might be kind of large as well. The Kingdom of Aquitaine, which is here, pretty near my Undying Dynasties, Kingdom of Aquitaine approached. They sent an ambassador to me, and they approached me and they asked if they would like an alliance. And so they said that they heard that we had lost numbers from wolves, and they were also fearing the high elves are now coming up from the south. They fear that. So they approached me, and we made an alliance. And I thought that it was announced in an email the general manager sent out, the campaign manager, but I guess he did not put it into the turn tracker. So I apologize, that was not in there. But that is what happened. So as far as I know, we're the only two that have an alliance. So my Undying Dynasties are now allied with the Kingdom of Aquitaine faction. I am not allied with any of his other factions, and he is not allied with any of my other factions. It is just us two. But now we have the potential to fight in a grand battle together, which is kind of interesting to have Undying Dynasties and Kingdom of Aquitaine in a grand battle. He can now support my army, so you'll see this is going to affect my decisions over the next couple turns, and I think it also affects his. So we're basically, I'm going to help him against the beast herds, and he is able to help me against the high elves. So this is a mutually defensive, beneficial pact that we've made. All right, we looked at the beast herds coming down. Here, of course, is the Silk Road that was raised, and here is Malco. So now this whole road is raised. All right, here's a bridge that was raised. I think that was last turn. You've got you've got ogres moving along. You've got dwarves moving along. Okay, this was the Thunder River that was mentioned. So here's the dwarves racing along the bank. Ogres seize the bridge over the river. Saurian ancients coming in from this side. I think I looked at this. If you just look at this area over the next couple turns, I told the rest of the guys playing, because I don't have any factions involved here. And I just told them, like, it's getting really crazy because you've got, look at this. You have ogres that hold the bridge. You've got a dwarf coming down the bank. You've got a second ogre right behind the dwarfs. You've got Saurian ancients approaching the bridge from this side. You've got beast herds approaching the bridge from the west. You've got beast herds, a different faction of them, approaching both from the south and from the east. It's just really crazy at this bridge over the Thor Thunder River. So keep your eye on that over the next couple turns. Here's the special location, ancient ruins, that the beast herds found. Then we've got, of course, the dynasties are just expanding, moving into bogs. Here's Finky seizing up mountain locations. Here's my other Thori, the Wallbreaker, marching south. Now, actually, what I'm wanting to do is I want to seize these silver mines, because these silver mines right here are very lucrative. They're like the Sacred Lake and Malco, but they might actually be more lucrative. And so I really want to seize those, and then my plan is to grow my Thories banner very large. But we'll find out next turn the implications of trying to seize silver mines. I'm also at the same time contemplating an alliance with this dwarf faction. And actually, I think my Empire faction approached this dwarf faction here, up here, along the Little Grismerie. I approached them with my Empire to see if they wanted an alliance, so that we could then do a grand battle and attack the orcs at Sacred Lake, because I don't want to attack Sacred Lake by myself. I thought it might take too long for my dwarf banner to come down. But you know how the dwarves are. They responded at first, but they were hesitant, and then they never followed up. And so there was no official alliance that was formed, and so there was no alliance. So the only alliance is the Undyne dynasties with the Kingdom of Aquitaine. All right, then we've got vampire counts moving up the road here. See that? We've got some territory raised by the warriors. And then here you've got the random events. So I think I don't know. Okay, so this banner was at the headquarters, and I think it wanted to go up here. And this banner wanted to go, I don't really know where they wanted to go, but their orders got confused, so they went west and they went north. And so now we have a battle at the Grail Chapel. So I'll talk about that in another video. Here's my second banner. Now I tried to trap orcs and goblins. I thought if I went here I might be able to trap him, but he did a forced march. So he was able to outmaneuver me. Here is my Empire banner. It attempted to restore this, but it did not work. Here's my second banner. I'm just marching along next to the road so that if my first banner gets into a battle, I can support it, but I'm also grabbing territory. So that's what I'm doing here. Okay, yeah, so here's the Dread Elves. His second banner was at the castle, and when you're there, you roll the dice to see how many troops you get, but he rolled a 1, so he got 0. So that's pretty funny. He could have just stayed in his headquarters and gotten 250 points, but he was in the castle. And then there's not much happening here. You think maybe the dwarves and the Dread Elves might fight each other over this bridge? We'll see. Here's these dwarves, ogres. So these ogres crossed the road, and they're now heading this way towards the jousting grounds. Now, the jousting grounds are very interesting. I've actually thought about them several times, about going there. Basically, the way that special location works is whichever banner controls it, they call it joust. And then every single person on the map, so 5 of us, can submit one mounted character or one character with swift stride to participate in the joust. And then somehow these characters face off at each other. And then whoever wins the joust gets that character gets to add points, gets points added to its special items allowance. So theoretically you could have characters that have, usually there's a cap of like 200 points of special items. If you win a joust, I think it goes up to like 225. You get like 25 extra points. So but over several turns, you theoretically, if you had a really powerful mounted character that could win the jousts, you could then keep adding special items to that character to keep making them more and more powerful. Anyway, no one has reached it yet, but you can see some people are kind of thinking about it. I've thought about it with my dwarves coming down the road. Ogres are marching across this way. We'll see what these dwarves do across the river. Very interesting. And then, of course, high elves are just moving. Looks like they're moving north, and Undyne dynasties are here. So, there we go. That is turn 4. And we're going to take a look at Finky the Wise's mining core, which I mentioned in turn 3 video. So here's Finky the Wise. So who is Finky? Finky the Wise, of course, is a runic smith. He's a runic smith. He's a general because it's his banner. He's got 3 battle runes. I tried to pick things I thought would fit if you are mining. So if you have a bunch of dwarves that are in a mining operation and then they go march off to battle, what would they have? Well, guess what you have in mining? You've got pickaxes and you've got got black powder because you're going to be using explosives to blow up areas you can't mine through very quickly. So that's why the list is crafted with that in mind. So, and even his special items, Rune of Steel, Rune of Iron, Rune of Forge, Rune of Dragon's Breath. He's got fire, of course, because he's the leader of the mining corps. So of course he knows how to breathe fire. All right. You got a Dragon Seeker because, of course, you're gonna have some sort of wild man who's just kind of crazy hanging around. Then you've got Clan Warriors. I did just give them shields. You know, just they're just random guys there down there in the mining operation that just brought their shields. Um, then I took 3 units of 10 clan marksmen with guild crafted handguns. A lot of black powder there. I got 24 deep watch. Because of course deep watch has a connotation that they're kind of down in the mining operations, guarding and watching against enemies. Then I've got 2 units of 20 miners. They're the ones that really do all the mining. I put a Vengeance Seeker in because Vengeance Seekers have this weapon that's a 2-handed weapon. It's like a long ball on a chain. And so I thought, probably that's not that efficient for mining operations, but I thought you might, someone might have that with them if they're mining. Because they're going to be really strong if they're used to like throwing big barrels around and big rocks. And then you've got a field artillery, an organ gun, and a cannon. So it's black powder army, but we'll see how it does. I don't know how well this might perform in battle. It's just something I threw together because I got to come up with different banners, and you have to name them with a character name. And so this is what I came up with my dwarves. Let me know what you think of it. Hey there, guys. Thank you for watching this. I look forward to sharing the rest of the campaign with you. If you play 9th Age, keep rolling the dice. May the 6s be with you. Have a great day.